Hey there, Faisal. Nice to see that you've written an essay for us. Let's take a look at what you're doing. Let's see why you can't get that score you need, okay? All right, so there is less communication between family members of late. Do you agree or disagree? To what extent do you agree? Let's see what you said. Many hold the opinion that nowadays family members no longer communicate with each other like olden times, like in olden times. I strongly disagree with this and believe that the advent of technology and high living costs have brought families closer than ever before. In this essay, I will put forth arguments supporting my stance. Okay, lovely, no problems so far, except for those little tiny things that I mentioned. So, development of technology, the development of technology here, has drastically improved communication between family members. The invention of mobile phone applications with an S, such as Viber and WhatsApp, the invention of mobile phone applications such as has enabled, yes, individuals to chat and catch up with their relatives even if they live on the other side of, careful with your typing, the world. These applications are free and accessible to everyone compared to before when phone calls used with a D to be expensive and only the elite could benefit from it. Well, phone calls, plural, so benefit from them. And I don't even know if it's benefit from them, but it's utilized. It's not like they benefited, but they actually they utilized it. So I think that would have been a better word here. Okay, so it could, and only the elite could utilize them. A survey carried out by The Independent found that 80% of the UK population uses mobile phone applications to communicate with their parents and close relatives. Therefore, there is unequivocal, sorry, I can't talk today, forgive me, evidence that technological advances have improved and increased communication among family members. Okay, fine. Furthermore, more people are connected with their family members because they are deciding to live in their parents' house. Okay, it's as if they have one parent, so you wanted S apostrophe here. High rents and house prices have forced teenagers to stay with their parents and, let's fix this. To stay with their parents and not move out until they are financially stable. In fact, in 2014, a report published by the UK Housing Department stated that 45% of the UK young adults are living with their parents. Well, not are living, we're living because it's 2014, compared to only 20% in 2000. We are all cognizant of the fact that living in the same house would, without a shadow of a doubt, increase communication among the household. Hence, high living costs have resulted in increased connection between family members. In conclusion, advancement in technology and high living costs have caused young adults to stay connected with their family and close relatives. Okay, so. All right, so now, from what I understood in your email, you're aiming to get a 7.5. And I have a couple of suggestions as to why I think you're not getting it. Okay, so the first thing, which to me is really clear, is the grammar. There were consistent mistakes, and the level and the amount of the mistakes were not band 8 mistakes. So if you take a look at this is the band descriptors. The majority of the sentences are error-free. Makes only, now ignore that, because people then turn and say, well, isn't over 50% the majority? Well, yes, but if you look at the next one, it says makes only very occasional errors or inappropriacies. What you had in your essay was not very occasional, okay? So that's part of the problem for sure, 100%. Now, let's talk about the other thing that I think is part of the problem. You said you strongly disagree, and I support that. That's fine, no problem. But I think that what you're doing here is you are missing an opportunity to make this a fuller essay, a more well-rounded essay, which could potentially get you a higher score. So, there is this opinion, there is less communication between family members. Why is it possible that people would say that? What is the justification for this belief? If this belief exists, what sort of merit does it have? What sort of thought process is going behind it? Okay, so that's something you could have discussed. So, in other words, rather than having this one-sided essay here, with just the fact that technology has improved, has given us additional means of communication, and the fact that people are living with their families longer, rather than talking about it from just a one-sided perspective, I think it would have done you very well to say, you know, this opinion exists, and while I don't support it, I understand why some people might be tempted to think that, yes, there is less communication between family members. So what could you have said in a paragraph like that? You could have said that we are all so stuck on our devices that we neglect face-to-face communication with other people. Okay, it's a common sight nowadays where you see families out to dinner or out enjoying, I don't know, ice cream or whatever, and each person is on his or her device, and the same thing happens in the home as well. So we're all so busy keeping up with the world going on outside and around us that we're neglecting the world that is right in front of us. Another thing that you could have said is the fact that we have such a fast-paced lifestyle. All of us, there's so many obligations, so many demands of our time that speaking with your loved ones is considered a luxury. And most people nowadays don't have that time, and unfortunately they don't make that time for other people. So these are some of the things you could have addressed. Okay, you possibly could have talked about the fact that there is so much, in this age of globalization, there is so much what's the word I want? Movement of people from one place to another. So families don't live near each other as they used to anymore. So children, you know, will leave the family nest in order to get a job or to study elsewhere, and so then that makes communication much harder. So there's a lot more movement from place to place for jobs and for studies, and so this is also hindering communication. Okay, so this is some of the stuff you could have said as to why you think, yeah, I understand why this viewpoint exists, so I'm going to discuss it. And then you could have said that despite what has been said above, I think that all of these wonderful means of communication that we have nowadays really are only allowing us to get closer together and allowing us to communicate more with one another, okay? And there's really no excuse for us to say that, you know, we can't communicate with each other because we have so many wonderful means at our fingertips. Okay, so that's why I would have done this. Now, if you do that, look what happens. Take a look at this. Look at the 9. Fully addresses all parts of the task. A fully developed answer. Okay? And even the 8 says sufficiently addresses all parts of the task. So when you look at the other perspective, that's what you're doing. You're really looking at all parts of the task, okay? A well-developed response. Now, why are we looking at the 8 or 9? Because from your email you said you need a 7.5. What does it mean to get a 7.5? It means that you need to see some 8s in your writing, okay? There are a lot of different ways that you can do that. You can do the math and figure out what sort of combination of scores you may need in order to get the 8. I am going to say best case scenario would be if you get 2 8s in both your task 1 and in your task 2. That's the minimum you need in order to see a 7.5. It's not an easy task, so that's why I'm looking at the 8. In fact, I would even advise you to aim for the 9. This way you can comfortably follow the 8. All right, so that's some of my suggestions for you. I'd like to see more of your writing. Please sign up for more essay corrections. I think you said your exam is this weekend. Let's see how we can help you over the next couple of days to give you some practice and to give you some feedback on your writing. I think it would be helpful to you even with this short amount of time you have. Okay, so see if you can sign up for one of those, and I look forward to seeing more of your writing soon. Good luck.